Winner stays in. Jeff versus Emma. For Jeff, a win here will likely allow him to draw into top 8. For Emma, she certainly needs to win both rounds. And Hoogland will be on the play. What has been difficult so far for the blue-white player has been their ability to get ahead on the board. They can hang on once they're there.
Right. It's these early turns of the game that really determine kind of the texture, how things are going to play out, whether or not the black-green Delirium player will just be able to land an uncontested Ishkana, or if the blue-white player can get them off balance.
Jeff fetches for a forest, and then turn 2, he'll traverse the Ulfenvault. So no plays on the first 2 turns for Jeff, or I suppose just setup. For Emma, she was on a mulligan to 6 this game, but did start with Thraben Inspector and that clue.
Yep, that basically undoes the mulligan. Now she has to get on the board in a more significant way.
It will be Smuggler's Copter for Emma.
And Copter, the best possible turn 2. Sometimes what you'll see play out is they'll have a turn 2 Selfless Spirit, and then a Liliana, the Last Hope, will just completely derail them.
Yeah, and then that not going to happen this time as Smuggler's Copter is safe from that. Jeff plays a 3rd land here. It's double black. This is going to be interesting. He has Liliana. He has Grasp of Darkness. He has Tireless Tracker, so a lot of options.
And amusingly, the Liliana makes it so that Thraben Inspector is an incompetent crew person.
It will minus it. So does Emma have a creature that can saddle up in the Copter? She does. It is Spell Queller. So this is a little bit of a win for Jeff. We got Emma to play Spell Queller on not a spell. She draws and discards.
The thing about Spell Queller in matchups like this is frequently you find yourself playing it proactively because it inevitably dies, and it's just a minor tempo play to even put a spell under it.
It looks like Emma knows that. On that Smuggler's Copter trigger, she actually discarded a 2nd copy of Spell Queller.
Love it.
And for Jeff, it's just more setup. Traverse the Ulfenvault.
Spell Queller can't even put off the pace for an Ishkana. There's a lot of important spells that it just doesn't interact well with.
Liliana shrunk Spell Queller here. Now I'm interested in that line because now both creatures can crew the Copter.
They can crew the Copter. Jeff's leaving up Grasp of Darkness, and the Inspector can't lethal Liliana by itself.
Well, actually, no, the Queller can't because it's a 0 power, right? So she has to use Inspector to crew it.
Right, which he would just kill.
Yeah, he's left up 3 black mana. He actually, that's somewhat telling, right, when they traverse for another swamp. Emma's hand looks like she has a 3rd Queller, a Selfless Spirit. She'd love to get that Lily off the table.
Revolutionary Rebuff in the hand. Might have to use this to defend the Copter, killing the Liliana, and just kind of cross your fingers on the Ishkana front. Though Jeff just 2 card types in the graveyard currently.
Yeah, it's not that, well, it'll be 3 if she actually kills the Liliana, right?
Right, but still no way to make the Delirium. Well, actually an instant spell here. That would make a Delirium for Ishkana.
All right, so here's the line. Emma plays Selfless Spirit, crews Smuggler's Copter. Jeff tries to grasp it. She Revolutionary Rebuffs. So this is the most aggressive option she could have picked.
Yep, and with what she has on the battlefield, it's a bunch of small creatures. She just had Rebuff back up. The Liliana is already quite good against what she is up to, and presumably Jeff has more removal spells. She just decides, I'm in trouble if you have Ishkana anyway.
I want to check on this attack of what was attacking what. If the Copter's at Jeff, Thraben's at Liliana. I don't understand this one because he'll get to kill the Selfless Spirit.
Yeah, I don't fully understand that myself.
Yeah, and that's what he'll do. Gives her creatures indestructible, and Jeff plays Mindrak Demon. Yeah, that's going to cost her a lot. Jeff's going to get to keep this Liliana, and now I'm not sure she's going to get another chance to take it off the battlefield.
She discarded a Stasis Snare, which would be a way to
that would have been
break
great
through
here.
the demon. We'll find out what the leftovers are.
Maybe I think it's just 2 more Stasis Snares. So, okay, discarding Stasis Snare seems fine. It seems like you have to.
Right.
Stasis Snare on Mindrak Demon, exiles it. Smuggler's Copter's crewed. An attack 2 at Liliana, 3 at Jeff. So, okay, Lily will be gone this time, and she gets to loot, discards of planes.
So the exchange that she made is she gave up her Selfless Spirit for 2 points of damage.
Yeah, I think that was just a blunder.
I'm finding it very difficult to justify that line, yeah.
Here's another Liliana, Shrinking Spell Queller, saying go. But Jeff is stuck on lands just a single swamp up, so Emma, if with a creature here, will get to take down Liliana again. And I think she's drawn Selfless Spirit. She's going to make the play. And this time, yeah, going to crew Smuggler's Copter, swing both, trigger, draw, and discard. It's two Stasis Snares again. Yeah, both those creatures at Liliana. We're not losing another Selfless Spirit. And Lily's down. Oh, actually, she discarded a Stasis Snare. It looks like the last card she's kept is Archangel Avacyn.
All right.
She's got the mana up to crack a clue, yeah.
That's a good way to deal with any potential Ishkana as well if Jeff's able to produce a 5th land and the Spider.
Now Jeff wanting to land pretty bad here. He will grapple with the past. There's a land. Finally into the graveyard.
And he has milled over an Ishkana already. If he had some other way to make the land drop, you'd probably want to get that.
Yeah, he's got Grasp of Darkness in hand that he can cast. He can get back this Evolving Wilds or the Swamp. So, despite all the miscues on Jeff's deck, he still is okay right now. Gets the Swamp back off grapple and plays it.
Ishkana makes up so much ground when you cast it. I mean, Spider just trades outright with Selfless Spirit. The 3/5 blocks the Smuggler's Copter, and you just go down the line that way.
And Jeff does have 6 card types in the yard, so we do have to start looking at Emrakul 2 turns down the road.
One thing that Emma did very well that we saw other blue-white Flash players get punished for is she just cast her rebuff when she had an opportunity to. We've seen a lot of players just die with that spell in their hand.
And Emma continues the aggressive line, draws to Gideon, casts it, and immediately makes an emblem. That's going to be her defense against something like Ishkana, is just going to try to win the game before Jeff makes one. All her creatures now +1/+1. Does she go for the Copter? She's got Avacyn and Port Town in hand. No crew, just swing. I really like this attack.
Yep, just at 13. He has to force some action here. He can't just take 8 damage.
And Jeff uses Grasp on the Spell Queller. Goes down to 8, takes 5. Emma plays her 5th land and passes. And Jeff plays Ishkana, gets 3 Spiderlings.
And what I really like about the way that Emma played that turn, she has access to Avacyn on this turn.
Right.
Her attacks are, she can kind of do whatever she wants from this point.
So she's going to cast Avacyn. Her creatures are now indestructible. And with that trigger on, she will crew Smuggler's Copter, swing the team, trigger on Smuggler's Copter, draw and discard. She has a land. She'll discard Prairie Stream, and now a Spell Queller sits in her hand. Jeff did not play a land last turn, so we're not really in the range of him Emrakuling just yet.
And this block gets to give some information to Emma about what's going on in Jeff's head. How weak does he feel to the potential of Avacyn flipping? Does she want to be proactive with this Selfless Spirit? More often than not, I would just sit tight with these creatures here.
Yeah, he took 0 there. He chump blocked he blocked each of the attackers, losing 2 spiders.
A display of fear from Hoogland.
Draws another land. He has Emrakul, Liliana, a Tireless Tracker, all available. So he actually has a lot of plays here. He'll cast Tireless Tracker, play a land, get a clue. Has left up the mana he needs for Liliana. He'll cast her. Last card in hand is Emrakul.
Well, this just allows Emma to sacrifice the Selfless Spirit and flip the Avacyn.
It does. It means that Jeff will have to chump block with Ishkana.
It would kill her own Inspector.
Yeah, but hold on. There's an emblem on the board for Gideon, so she can crew Smuggler's Copter in response.
True.
And it'll survive the
And then
Avacyn.
she'd still be able to have the Spell Queller in her hand as well. Wouldn't have to use that to crew.
If Jeff had used Liliana, yeah, I guess he has to do that. So he'll target Liliana. Emma will sacrifice Selfless Spirit. So now there's an Avacyn trigger. It's going to trigger, turn into the 6/5. It's going to deal 3 to all the creatures and to Jeff. But she can use Inspector to crew in response here. And that's what she's going to do.
I imagine that we'll see her redirect the Avacyn trigger to La Liliana so it can't be used to raise dead on the Ishkana on the following turn.
Well, it depends. She's got a Spell Queller in hand. So right now, she puts, Jeff goes to 5, right? Then Jeff goes to 1 on the attack because he has to chump block Avacyn. Yeah, maybe you're right.
Yeah, the Spell Queller can't tag Ishkana, which is like the big issue there.
Looks like she's not going to crew Smuggler's Copter. Now decide what she wants to do with the damage. Just goes at Jeff. Yeah, what I think the play I would have been interested in from Emma is crew Copter. The Copter's a 4/4. Swing Copter at Liliana, swing Avacyn at Jeff. And you would have gotten everything, right?
Right.
Because he'd have to block the Avacyn so he doesn't die. And then the 4 damage Copter would take care of Liliana. She'll play Spell Queller, crew Copter that way, and then make that attack. So Jeff still loses everything. It's pretty good here. She did have to play out the Spell Queller because she did it this way.
Right. I think one way or the other, it was kind of a missed opportunity to crew the Copter with the Inspector.
And for Jeff, Emrakul is not going to do it. So game 1 goes to Emma Handy on White-Blue Flash.
Yeah, and the most important play there, I think, was that revolutionary rebuff. That's a thing
Yes,
that we've seen
that was great.
come into play most, where people try to hope to snag an Ishkana, but really you just have to play it whenever you have a spot to play it.
Yeah, revolutionary rebuff is this really underpowered card that just serves a role in this match. And we've started to see players, Brilliant players, especially Brad Nelson on camera, has played around it very well. But if the White-Blue Flash player can generate enough pressure, then her opponent can't actually do that.
Right.
So we are going to look at the sideboards as we go toward game 2. Jeff down a game. Appetite for the Unnatural, 3 Deadweight, an additional Emrakul, the first copy of Kalatas Trader of Get, 3 Natural States, a Nissa Vital Force, 2 Pick the Brains, and 3 Transgress the Minds.
Some number of the natural state and the appetite for the unnatural are going to be good here. They can deal with the Copter, the Always Watching, etc. Pick the Brain and Transgress the Mind are both ways to pick out counterspells, Gideons, Avacyns. They really deal with the most important cards in the matchup. So I expect to see all of that kind of stuff coming in here.
On Emma Handy's side, we've seen actually a lot of different types of sideboarding plans for this matchup. So interested to see what she's going to go for. 2 Jaces, a Ceremonious Rejection, a Negate, 2 Fragmentize, a Linvala, and Always Watching, 2 Gisela, 2 Declaration in Stone, 2 Spell Shrivel, and 1 Scatter to the Winds. No Brunas, but what does she go for?
So the Declaration in Stone, the Spell Shrivel, the Scatter, that's kind of been the common list of things we've seen come in addition to Jace Unraveler of Secrets, slow the game down, try to go over the top a little bit. I would not be bringing in Gisela given that there's no Bruna in the sideboard. If there was a way to get that Bruna, that Chaos Trigger, that's great. The Gisela is just another creature that dies to removal. It doesn't really go over the top in this matchup. So mostly I'm just looking at those counter spells and that Jace and the Declaration to deal with Ishkana.
Yeah, Jace is actually, we've seen do work in this matchup.
Yeah, we've seen situations where Jace is drawing extra cards, and it's not even drawing enough extra cards. You kind of wish you could have something more of that effect.
He should scry 1, then draw 2.
Yeah.
All right. Players going to get ready for the second game here. Now, over at StarCityGames.com in the Creature Collection, we are happy to wish you an introduction to the Mole Warden. That's been the SCG Game Night pin and promo for the month here of November, but is available now on playmats, sleeves, and player bundles. This is illustrated by Andrea Radek. She's the illustrator for all of the Star City Creature Collection. But you can now get this. It's available in the store along with a lot of our past Creature Collections. So you can find the whole selection of them at StarCityGames.com/Creature Collection. This, of course, the parody of Soul Warden, but it's a mole. See, it's a pun.
Oh.
Yeah, that's why it's funny. That's why it's good. See,
I get it.
See, it's the same pose. He's wearing a toga, just like Soul Warden. Got fireflies. That's not what
like
Soul Warden has,
oh.
but it's because he's a critter. So we'd have.
Oh yeah, critters and fireflies are
they're
always seen in the same place. They're like smoke and fire.
Emma Handy now 1 win away. The 24-year-old from Asheville, North Carolina. She is still looking for her first top 8 here on the Open Series. And at a 1-2 start, it did not look like this would be the weekend, but now she is just 3 wins away. And we're going to see if she can do it. Underway, game number 2. She's on the draw. Game 1, keep in mind, she was on a mulligan to 6 there. She starts on 3 with an Inspector.
Yeah, Jeff had some issue developing his mana in the early game. That was a significant factor there. And Emma navigated the early game quite well. That revolutionary buff, they keep coming to that play. I think that was everything.
Second land from Jeff to go back over to Emma's side. It looks like Jeff has boarded in a copy of Natural State. Emma swings for 1 with the Inspector. We have not seen a Grim Flare yet out of Jeff. It looks like for the second game we will see a turn 3 Liliana. That's what he'll do, plussing on Thraben Inspector. If it resolves, does Emma rebuff it? No. She will draw a card off the clue, though. And we go back over to Emma's third turn. Port Town, revealing Plains. Her mana is all set up. She's going to need an answer for this Planeswalker. See if she's got one Reflector Mage in hand. And this is what I love about the blue deck. She's got 7 cards here, and her play is going to be pass.
Yeah, very likely intending to cast a Spell Queller, target or no on Jeff's turn if she has it.
Jeff plays a 4th land, passes. Emma, no end step Queller. 4th land of hers, end pass. Jeff had Murder at the ready, and along with Grasp of Darkness in case Emma tried for some sort of end step creature. But this is where Black-Green is like playing the flash game, right? Jeff wants to trade these land drops, and that's what's going to happen.
This game right now, the pace is entirely dictated by hidden information. The Liliana is not accruing any tangible advantage until it emblems. So Jeff is happy because he's building towards this emblem. He has Disruption to try to guarantee that it happens. Emma is not actually under duress, just a clock. Eventually, this becomes a problem. So she just has to see if she can find a spot before she has to play into Jeff.
Yeah, she could make something like a Gideon here, which would be pretty nice. It takes down counter magic, but I don't know how worried. I guess her worry would be that Jeff would do something like end step, grapple, untap Ishkana plus spiders.
Yeah, if he was able to grapple into Delirium and then Ishkana, that would be really bad news.
So Emma's going to make the Gideon, make a 2/2, and now pressure's on Jeff. Does he have that? It's a lot to ask, but it's possible. He hasn't really played anything.
And he doesn't have anything like a Grim Player. He didn't get any creatures to start things off early. Yeah. So the Gideon might even be able to overpower an Ishkana depending what the follow-ups are here.
He used an end-step Murder on that token. Uses Liliana to shrink down Thraben Inspector. He is just going for this emblem. And here's Ishkana, but just a 3/5. This is not a strong showing from the Delirium deck.
If Emma does have Reflector Mage, so she'll be able to use this and punch that Liliana for 5 and really slow Jeff down.
Yeah, I mean, Jeff's play here is hoping that Emma has nothing. You know, if she pluses the Gideon, he'll chump block for Liliana and then make an emblem. But that is a ton to ask.
You know, earlier in the tournament, we saw Brad Nelson playing the Delirium deck and really bullying the Flash players. And in this matchup, we're seeing Emma's really bullying Jeff.
Stasis Snare on the Spider, not Reflector Mage. Gideon turns into a 5/5. A punch there on Liliana, and Natural State attempts to hit the Stasis Snare, but Emma will Spell Shrivel, and a pivotal Spell Shrivel right there.
That matters a lot. Down the line, if Jeff is able to set up Delirium and he can destroy the Stasis Snare, this could lead to a blowout in combat, but for now, Jeff's not even on Delirium. This is very far off the radar.
His hand is Ruinous Path and Grasp of Darkness, so he'll Ruinous Path away Emma's Planeswalker, and he'll go back to work on that Liliana. +1, she goes up to 3, we're back to Emma.
Emma would really like to have another Gideon here.
A threat of any sort would be pretty great. She's got a lot of cards. Well, this is a threat, Thraben Inspector, kind of. I mean, the second one does keep parity with the Liliana.
Exactly. Now Jeff has to do something to actually build an advantage with the Liliana.
And Liliana pluses up to 4. Targets the other Thraben Inspector.
Pretty sneaky.
And Topaz. She's got some instant play. She could go for Avacyn. She will.
Sure.
Jeff's going to Grasp a Darkness it. He has the answer.
Yeah, she can't really play to having that plus counterspell back up. You know, this is a board state that asks her to be proactive.
Swings 1 into the Liliana. Plays her 7th land, passes the turn. She's got 2 Reflector Mages and a clue she hasn't cracked yet.
I imagine that it would have been correct to crack the clue on her main phase if she drew like a Smuggler's Copter. She would have want to play that there.
Jeff pluses on the Thraben Inspector and just passes. He doesn't have a finisher yet of his own, so Emma will draw a card. It looks like Declaration in Stone.
Okay, so that's fine. Wouldn't have cast that one last turn anyway.
But she needs she'd really like to draw some more pressure here.
How about a Gideon?
I mean, that's perfect. But if you write Jeff's just something like 1 Traverse from really mucking this up.
Jeff's got a lot of lands in play.
Yeah.
Not hard to imagine an Emrakul showing up sometime soon here.
All right, well, there's Gideon. That's a lot of pressure. He's going to make a 2/2 Knight ally, and she passes the turn. We look over at Jeff's board. He's got 3 dual lands in play, but none of them are Hissing Quagmires. They are all, or actually, apologies, one of them is a Hissing Quagmire.
And Jeff's hand is just land second Liliana.
And yeah, and he -2s it, hoping to hit a creature, but he doesn't, and just bins 2 cards, says go. He was really trying to Ishkana or Emrakul there.
Yeah, and now Thraben Inspector, just one of those is lethal on the Liliana.
I would send 2, but yeah, 1 is lethal. I just, you know.
Yeah, I'd send 1. Yeah, show him who's boss.
Wow. Gideon's going to plus up into a 5/5. The Thraben Inspectors, I guess if she were to swing them, they are swinging into Hissing Quagmire. Decide if she's okay with that.
I would send 2 for that reason.
No, just going to send those. Liliana, both at Liliana. Liliana's downed.
No reason to throw away our squires, I suppose.
Land for Emma. It is land number 8. She passes, but has 4 cards in hand. And now Jeff's playing off the top. That's another Hissing Quagmire. He'll pass.
And he sat on the Liliana. It wouldn't do a lot. It's his only card in hand.
I mean, he was hoping to draw some follow-up, right?
Yeah.
Gideon makes an emblem.
Now these Inspectors are looking like mighty fine attackers.
Yeah, they trade with Hissing Quagmires now. 2 swing. Jeff can actually attack back. He'll activate 1 Quagmire. Looks like traded away with the ally.
Not a good feeling.
No, trading your lands away with tokens that Emma makes for free is pretty rotten.
Emma has a grip full of cards here too. One of them looks to be Revolutionary Rebuff. That's kind of a mulligan, but she has more in the tank than Jeff does anyway.
It might still be live against a top-decked Emrakul.
Right.
I'm not... We'd have to get Jeff's Delirium count. He'll cast another Liliana. This is one he drew. Curious if he pluses her. He might just minus here at this point and try to find something.
Emma's thinking about rebuffing here. A thing that does, if Jeff has 6 lands on tap, he wouldn't be able to Liliana and cast an Ishkana this turn. You know, Jeff might find Ishkana and decide not to cast it.
She's gonna. Oh, this isn't a rebuff. This is a Scatter to the Winds with Awaken. That is that's significantly better.
Yeah. You know, the only upside of the play I was describing was to play some kind of mental game.
Yeah, this one's just a. This isn't mental game now. This is just a game winner.
Yeah, this is just actually advantaged.
Counterspell, make a 3/3. Okay, yeah. And a huge play by Emma. Last card for Jeff, 3rd Liliana. He'll cast it here. Pluses it on a Thraben Inspector. We're back to Emma, but that's going to be easy for her to pick off. The land itself is a 4/4. She draws another Archangel Avacyn. I think she's going to get this one.
Oh, yeah.
Gideon pluses up into a 5/5.
Even if Jeff can produce an Emrakul, Emma's coming across for a lot of damage on this turn.
A swing, and I don't even know if she sent any of this at Liliana. Okay, looks like 4 went there. So a total of 8 damage at Jeff. He'll drop down to 9. And now she's wondering, should you just play this Reflector Mage? Sure.
3 mana, 3/4.
And leaves up Avacyn mana. Jeff empty-handed. His last draw is another land. Game and match to Emma Handy. And with that win, she's now 1 match away from that top 8.
Yeah, check out the math on that. From the standings, it looked